week, you called for Cathy Engelbert's resignation from her role as WNBA commissioner.
WNBA finals, and so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened.
You hear Caitlin Clark there. How does that strike you?
You know, I think what people need to understand, you know, we need great leadership in this time across all levels.
You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obvious.
Doesn't strike me at all. Same reaction. Cathy Engelbert should resign as the commissioner of the WNBA.
Christmas morning, 2025, was supposed to be the one quiet day of the year when the noise finally died down. For the WNBA front office, and especially for Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, the holiday break was meant to be a rare pause after a season that shattered viewership records while also dragging the league through nonstop controversy, racial tension, and internal locker room disputes. Leadership badly needed space to reset and regroup. The hope was simple. Let the sports conversation drift toward the NFL, the NBA Christmas slate, or literally anything that did not involve the internal power struggles of women's basketball. For a few hours, that plan almost worked. Then, at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time, as families were opening gifts and the sports world was still half asleep, a single notification dropped and shattered the calm. It was not a league announcement. It was not a highlight package from the WNBA's official channels. It came from Nike. The post featured a 32-second commercial that would end up doing more damage to the commissioner's authority than any single scandal the league had faced in the past decade. The ad, titled From Anywhere and starring Caitlin Clark, did more than rack up views. It triggered panic behind closed doors. Inside WNBA headquarters, the reaction reportedly shifted fast from shock to full-blown crisis mode. To understand why a sneaker commercial caused such an intense response at the highest levels of the league, you have to look beyond basketball. This was about control. It was about influence. It was about power dynamics that have been quietly shifting under the surface for the last 2 years. For decades, the WNBA has operated under a tightly controlled philosophy. The league comes first. The collective is the shield. The brand promotes all 144 players equally, pushing the idea that no single athlete is ever bigger than the organization. Commissioner Engelbert has long defended this system as a way to keep stability and avoid chaos, even as the ground beneath it has started to crack.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
When that commercial aired on Christmas morning, everything changed. The high-budget cinematography, the polished production, and the A-list celebrity appearances from Travis Scott and the Kelsey brothers gave it the feel of a blockbuster trailer, not a standard sports advertisement. The tone was bold, confident, and unapologetic, and it landed like a direct hit to the league's long-standing philosophy. The message was unmistakable. There was no collective. There was no equal balance. There was Caitlin Clark, and then there was everyone else. For a commissioner who had built her reputation around carefully managing the league's ecosystem, watching one player elevated to near-myth status without league oversight was more than uncomfortable. It was a challenge to her authority. What truly set off alarms inside league offices were the fine details of the ad itself. Phone lines reportedly stayed busy between executives throughout the entire holiday. This was not a celebration of the WNBA as a whole. It was not a highlight reel of league history or team success. In fact, the WNBA logo was barely noticeable, if it appeared at all. The focus stayed locked on Clark and Clark alone. The visuals pushed her personal brand front and center. Snow falling, a quiet driveway, shots launched from distances that felt unreal. cultural icons standing nearby like witnesses. The presentation framed her as something bigger than a player, something that lived beyond the boundaries of the league. Insiders have suggested that Commissioner Cathy Engelbert saw this move as a rogue play. Typically, partnerships with brands like Nike are tightly coordinated to ensure the league benefits alongside the athlete. This time was different. Nike made it clear they were calling their own shot. The unspoken message was blunt. They did not need the league to move product. They only needed Caitlin Clark. For a commissioner, realizing your biggest star may have outgrown the system built to contain her is not just unsettling. It is a direct threat to control. She plays in a different lane, and the corporate sponsors know it. What made this situation even more explosive was the timing, which added a level of spite that could not be ignored. To understand the anger brewing inside the front office, you have to look at what else was happening around the league at that exact moment. The Unrivaled league was entering the spotlight. Just weeks before the Nike commercial dropped, the basketball world had been locked in on the launch of the new 3-on-3 league founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. This project was positioned as the WNBA's long-awaited solution to its off-season problem. It was an equity-driven league built by players for players, designed to keep elite talent in the United States while creating new income streams for veterans who had carried the league for years. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert publicly backed the idea, framing it as a critical piece of the WNBA's long-term growth plan. Behind the scenes, there was one priority above all else. They wanted Caitlin Clark involved. Every lever was pulled to make it happen. Reports surfaced that she was offered more than $1 million for a short commitment. The number was staggering, dwarfing her WNBA salary and sending a clear signal about how badly they wanted her star power. Clark turned it down. She declined the check. She declined the spotlight. Instead, she chose rest, time away, and a lower profile, at least on the surface. That decision already rattled parts of the establishment, but what followed pushed things over the edge. The release of the From Anywhere commercial on Christmas Day landed right as the Unrivaled League was trying to build momentum ahead of its January debut. Inside league circles, it felt less like coincidence and more like a calculated strike. When Clark passed on the Unrivaled offer, some voices within the old guard suggested she was holding the game back. That narrative collapsed almost instantly. The numbers did the talking. Within 24 hours, Clark's 32-second Nike ad pulled in 6 times more views than the entire Unrivaled roster reveal and launch campaign combined. For the league establishment, it was not just a setback. It was a public power shift they could not spin away. It proved one thing beyond debate. Caitlin Clark did not need the Unrivaled League to stay relevant. The Unrivaled League needed her. For Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, watching her off-season strategy get overshadowed by a single shoe commercial was a straight-up disaster. It reinforced a harsh truth that league leadership has tried to avoid for years. Fans are not always loyal to women's basketball as an abstract idea. They are loyal to stars. In this moment, they are loyal to Caitlin Clark. That shift in attention makes the commissioner's job far more difficult because it strips away leverage. Managing a league is one thing. Managing a player who effectively holds the attention of the entire audience is something else entirely. This situation also exposes a financial embarrassment the league cannot easily explain away. One of the core responsibilities of a commissioner is to present the league as polished, powerful, and aspirational. Cathy Engelbert comes from a deep corporate background. She ran Deloitte. She understands balance sheets and optics. That is why the numbers attached to this moment sting so badly. Seeing Clark featured in a commercial that looks like it cost several $1 million to produce, wearing custom gear and sharing space with high-earning music artists and NFL stars, creates a brutal contrast. The gap between her personal brand and the league's financial reality becomes impossible to ignore. The production value of that 32-second ad surpassed what viewers often see during regular season WNBA broadcasts. It quietly reminds the audience that Clark earns millions through deals with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm, while the league she plays for pays her a rookie salary that would not come close to covering the catering bill for that single shoot. This situation has turned into a full-scale public relations nightmare for Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. She is deep in negotiations over future collective bargaining agreements, while simultaneously trying to sell the idea that the WNBA belongs in the same conversation as other major professional leagues. Every time this Nike ad runs during an NBA broadcast or an NFL playoff game, it quietly undercuts that pitch. The message is obvious to anyone watching. The real money is not coming from the league itself. It hands the Players Association a powerful visual argument. One glance at the screen shows the value being generated outside league control. It raises uncomfortable questions about why players are being asked to settle for so little when the commercial upside is so massive. The optics make the league look undercapitalized and make leadership look late to the opportunity. Behind the scenes, there are murmurs that team owners have been calling Engelbert, asking why none of this marketing momentum is flowing back into the league. This frustration is not rooted in jealousy. It is about business. The WNBA is being boxed out of the profit stream tied to its most valuable star, while Nike captures the upside. That alone would be damaging. But the most volatile consequences of this ad are unfolding inside locker rooms across the league. This is where the A'ja Wilson factor enters the picture. Wilson is a 3-time MVP and, by most competitive measures, the best player in the world right now. She is also a Nike athlete. She also recently had a commercial released under the same brand umbrella. Once Clark's ad went live, side-by-side comparisons flooded social media almost immediately. The contrast became the story. Clark's spot was cinematic, dark, and expensive looking. Wilson's was widely labeled as minimal, low energy, and visually flat. That comparison sparked a narrative that spread fast and cut deep. Fans began speculating that Nike was deliberately prioritizing one star while letting another fade into the background, a perception that creates tension the league can barely afford to manage. Whether any of this is actually true does not matter to Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. What matters is perception. This commercial drives a wedge straight down the middle of the league's two biggest stars and the groups around them. It gives oxygen to long-standing beliefs held by many veteran players that the corporate system is tilted against them, no matter how hard they grind or how many championships they win.
She was talking about Cathy Engelbert directly. She revealed private conversations, you understand, with quotes from this lady, the commissioner, about what she said that came across as dismissive, as derogatory, and unappreciative of the athletes that represent her league.
Engelbert has spent the last 2 seasons trying to calm tensions around physical play, flagrant fouls, and the repeated targeting of Caitlin Clark. This ad did the opposite. It intensified everything. When a rookie is showcased with blockbuster treatment, it is impossible for someone like A'ja Wilson not to feel overlooked. It is just as hard for other veterans not to feel dismissed when they see one player receive the full Michael Jordan-style rollout while they are handed stripped-down campaigns. That kind of imbalance creates resentment. Resentment turns into anger. Anger does not stay off the court. The commissioner understands the risk. If the 2026 season turns into a revenge-driven atmosphere where veterans feel disrespected and take it out physically on Clark, the product suffers. The game stops being about basketball and starts feeling like ongoing drama. That opens the door to injuries, controversies, and constant headlines, all of which eventually land back on the commissioner's desk. And that is before even addressing the quiet power move hidden inside the commercial itself. Nike's choice of cameos was not random. It was a direct break from how the WNBA has marketed itself for years. Traditionally, league campaigns honor history. Legends like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Sue Bird are brought in to show continuity and respect for the foundation that built the league. That lineage matters to the gatekeepers of women's basketball. In this case, those figures were missing. There was no symbolic handoff, no acknowledgement of the past. Instead, Clark was surrounded by male cultural powerhouses.
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
She can't make it from there. No chance.
Caitlin, conmigo, let's. You got it.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin from here might be impressive. Am I right?
Whatever, Chet.
From right here.
From there.
From anywhere.
Travis Scott, Jason, and Travis Kelce. Michael Che from Saturday Night Live. The message was subtle but sharp. Nike positioned Clark outside the traditional WNBA timeline, not as the next star in line, but as a pop culture figure operating on a different level altogether, standing shoulder to shoulder with the biggest male celebrities in the world. For longtime power brokers and former players who have openly criticized Clark's fan base, this move cuts deep. It bypasses the league's internal hierarchy entirely. It sends a signal that outside validation matters more than approval from within. Engelbert understands exactly how dangerous that message can be for the structure she is trying to protect. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert needs the veterans to buy in. She needs alumni voices aligned with the league's direction. When the face of the league is marketed as separate from its own history, it weakens the foundation the WNBA is built on. It creates a split culture. On one side are new fans who only care about Caitlin Clark. On the other are longtime supporters who care deeply about legacy and lineage. The commissioner ends up caught in the middle, absorbing pressure from both sides. To understand why this conflict feels personal, you have to revisit the Lucky Stars controversy. In October 2025, reports emerged about a tense meeting where Engelbert allegedly told players they should be grateful for the media rights deal she helped secure. The phrasing sparked immediate backlash.
First of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And, I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. This league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very valid.
Even after attempts to soften or clarify the message, the perception stuck. It framed her as an executive who believed players owed her thanks. That moment became a symbol of power imbalance. It felt like a reminder of who controlled the purse strings. The Nike commercial functions as a direct counter to that episode without needing to say anything out loud. It positions Clark as someone who does not rely on gratitude to survive. Her value exists on its own terms. The message underneath the visuals is hard to ignore. Clark brings attention. She attracts sponsors. She drives revenue. The commercial quietly erodes the commissioner's authority by exposing a financial reality the league cannot match. It becomes difficult to demand loyalty or gratitude when the league salary structure pales next to what Clark earns outside of it. The numbers create an impossible contrast. When a league pays a player a fraction of what a single sponsor does, the balance of power shifts. The dynamic flips. The player becomes the center of gravity, and the league becomes dependent on her presence. Engelbert understands this danger. Once an athlete recognizes that their individual value outweighs the governance structure around them, control starts to slip. The NBA experienced a version of this with LeBron James, but this situation is even more volatile. The gap between Clark's earning power and that of her peers is massive, and that imbalance threatens the stability of the entire system. There's a larger threat hanging over this situation, and it is one that keeps WNBA owners up at night. For years, the debate centered on whether Caitlin Clark was good enough for the league. That question is settled. The scale of this commercial introduces a far more unsettling one. Is the WNBA big enough for Caitlin Clark? The visuals, the scope, and the from anywhere concept point towards something bigger than domestic basketball. The messaging feels global, expansive, and borderless. That ambition currently exceeds what the WNBA can realistically offer. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert understands that the existing collective bargaining agreement is fragile. If players choose to opt out, and if the league cannot present Clark with compensation that reflects her market value, the consequences could be severe. Once that door cracks open, new possibilities emerge. What would stop Clark from building something of her own? What would stop Nike or Amazon from backing a Caitlin Clark-driven tour that travels city to city and pulls numbers that rival or surpass the WNBA? It sounds extreme, but the financial logic is already on display. A company willing to spend this much on a 32-second commercial is willing to fund whatever platform delivers the highest return. Right now, that platform is Clark herself. It is not the Indiana Fever. It is not the league as an institution. This commercial functions as a warning, not just a promotion. It signals that the star can be moved anywhere, at any time, if the structure around her cannot keep up. Inside the commissioner's office, the reaction is not just anger. It is anxiety. The fear is not backlash. It is irrelevance. The possibility that the WNBA becomes a stepping stone in Clark's career rather than the destination is a scenario Engelbert cannot ignore. There is another layer that added fuel to the reaction. The global implication of the campaign triggered its own backlash. The From Anywhere tagline suggested worldwide reach, and the visuals reinforced that idea. Snow, distance, and isolation spoke to a universal audience. Online response was immediate when international fans discovered the merchandise was not available in their countries. Supporters from Brazil, France, Spain, and China flooded comment sections asking why they were excluded. While this was technically a Nike distribution issue, the fallout spilled onto the league. Engelbert has consistently pushed a vision of global expansion. She has spoken about teams in Toronto and games in London. When the biggest marketing moment in the sport fails to align with that vision, it reflects poorly on the league. The perception becomes damaging. The infrastructure looks unprepared. The coordination looks sloppy. Once again, elite talent appears to be operating ahead of the system meant to support it. As the face of league business, Engelbert absorbs the blame. And with the 2026 season approaching, this commercial has already drawn an invisible line that will define everything that follows. This is the moment where everything catches up at once. The commercial was never just marketing. It was a stress test. It exposed how fragile the balance has become between individual power and league control, and it forced everyone to confront a truth they have been dancing around for years. Caitlin Clark did not force this shift. The market did. The audience did. The money followed. When one player commands more attention than the structure meant to contain her, the structure has to respond or risk becoming irrelevant. That is the position the league now finds itself in. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is no longer managing growth. She is managing pressure. Every decision from this point forward carries weight, because the league cannot afford another moment where it looks smaller than its own stars. The 2026 season is no longer just about basketball. It is about leverage, identity, and who actually holds the power. This saga is bigger than one ad, one player, or one holiday release. It is a preview of how modern sports operate when influence moves faster than institutions can adapt. The leagues that survive are the ones willing to face that reality head-on. If you want to understand these moments before they turn into headlines, if you want the real context behind the moves, the money, and the motives, that is what we break down at Courtside Leaks. No narratives handed to you, just the information they hope you miss. We've got every angle covered, every leak, every backstage twist, every moment they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.